Hey guys, this is just a quick video outlining the way assignments work in Google Classroom. I've got two classrooms open at the moment. I've got my own test class that I made using my work account, and I've also got a test student account that's logged into that class. If I go back to my class and into people, you can see I've got a couple of students. May and Jason have kindly enrolled in my class, and I've got my test student class, so I can view as a test student here to show you guys what happens when we create assignments. So making your first assignment, you want to do that in classwork, and you're going to hit create and create an assignment. Once you get into here, first of all, you can actually create assignments for multiple classes. I only want to make one for my test class. You could also select which students actually receive that assignment. I don't want to bother Jason and May. I don't want to spam them with assignments, so I'm only going to make this assignment for my test student. I'm going to call this anything really, just another assignment. Instructions I'm going to skip. Let's make it worth 100 points. It doesn't have to be graded. In fact, let's make it ungraded, so it's feedback only. What's important is you are going to want to give it a due date. I'll explain why due dates are so useful later on. So let's say that it's going to be due next Friday at, I don't know, let's say 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay, so we've got a due date and a due time, and let's say that this assignment belongs in topic 1. We're right at the start of the year. So topic 1. Now, the way that I would do most assignments is to actually create a template document that your students are going to use for creating that assignment, which you're going to add through Google Drive. I think I've got a mock document here already. Yeah, so I've got a template that I've made earlier. So I'm going to select that template. Now what's really important is to select this drop down menu and to make a copy for each student, because that gives you so much more control over viewing those assignments to see how your students are getting on. So I'm going to have a copy made for each student. Seems a bit silly in this instance because I've only got one student, but obviously class of 27 students. This will save you a ton of time in making 27 copies of this template and sharing it with all of your students. So I'm going to assign that. And you can see that in topic 1 we now have a second assignment called another assignment. I made one previously before this video. Now if I jump over to the student account and I'll refresh this page, what you should see is on the left hand side in upcoming, you can just see the first assignment at the moment, but if I hit view all, then the student's able to see everything that's been assessed for him or her. So she can see that there is another assignment set with a due date August 24th, the first assignment I made which had a due date of August 16th, and a topic 3 question that I set and another question on topic 2. So the student can see all work that's been assessed to them. Another way of getting to this page for the student is to go to classwork, where the work is actually split up into those topic categories you made, and they can select view your work. Now, what's super useful here is that the template has been shared with the students and placed in their classroom folder, which if I go back to the top level of Drive here, as soon as students are added to Google Classrooms, which they all have been, there'll be a classroom folder added to their Google Drive. Now, when they enter that, there'll be a folder for each class, so you can see the test student's been added to actually 3 test classes already. This is my one test class, and if I go into that, I can see both of the assignments that I've set to the test student. Now you might be wondering what that looks like on the teacher side. Just like the classroom folder was made for the test student, You'll also see that you've got a classroom folder made for you on the top level of your drive. So I can see here the classroom folder made for me by Google Classroom, and inside of that there's a folder for every classroom, every Google Classroom that I've ever had or made. If I go into the test class and into the another assignment folder, and that's worth mentioning, it will create a folder for every copy of the assignment that you've distributed. So I've only got one student here. It's been appended with a test student, but it would have the name, it'd have a copy for every student in my class and their name added onto the beginning of the document name there. If I just go back into the test students drive, notice that the assignments are on the top level within the test class folder. But for the teacher side, it will create an assignment folder for you. Another thing I want to highlight is that if I select this document and we look at the owner of the document, currently the owner is the test student. That means that the student has full edit rights. As soon as the student submits that assignment, so I'm going to go back to the student view now. As soon as the student within Google Classroom goes into that assignment, views its details, and turns in that document. And what we should see now is if I move back to the teacher view, you see that the owner has already become me. Now that prevents the student from making any further edits, and it prevents the student from deleting the assignment. Now the student's done that by choice at the moment, but one great thing that Google Classroom does is that when the assignment due date comes, so when it reaches the August 24th, 4 p.m, all unsubmitted assignments will be automatically submitted to you. You become the owner and no further edits can be made by your students. Another great thing that Google Classroom does that I really like is if I go to back to the top level of test class as a student, and I go to the classwork tab, you can see a little calendar icon here. Now your students can click on that calendar icon and it will open up Google Calendar. If it's the first time they've done it, it should ask them, would you like to add the calendar for test class? So direct your students here, ask them to add it, and they will see the test class calendar added there. Now I'm going to deselect every other calendar, and if I change to month view, I can see that both of the assignments have been added to the student's Google Calendar, which is great. The same thing has happened in the teacher view as well. If I go back to the teacher Google Classroom and I go to classwork and again hit the calendar, Google Calendar icon, that'll take me to my own Google Calendar, and I can see both of those assignments have also been added to my Google Calendar. You can see actually that I've got a calendar made for, again, every Google class that I've created. So I can set assignments, and those assignments deadlines are shared on Google Calendar. As a teacher now, my test student has submitted, they've turned in their work, and I've already shown you how the ownership is transferred to me. One way that I can view all of these assignments is under classwork on the teacher view to select view assignment, and that will take me to almost the grading panel, if you will. Again, I've only got the test student document here. I would otherwise have a full class grid of documents to grade. It tells me the test student has turned in the document. I can now open the document. I am the owner of this document. I can make any edits that I like, or I can create some comments. Great work. Feedback, feedback, feedback. And once I'm done, I can then select test student and choose to return the document to that student. I can have one more final comment. I really enjoyed this piece of work. Return. And now what we should see, if I go back to the student drive, so I go back to my student drive and select the document and information, I can see now that for the student assignment, another assignment, if I hit details, I can see that the student is the owner. Or if I move back to the teacher view and I go to the another assignment folder and select the test student document, I can see that the ownership has been transferred back to the test student. So the test student can now make any edits based on the feedback I've given them that they'd like, but I've marked the original piece of work that was submitted on or before the assessment deadline. One very last thing that I'd like to add actually is that when your student submits an assignment, so I'm going to go back to the student's classwork tab and submit the first assignment. If I select view assignment, before your student turns in that assignment, they do have the option of adding one of their own files, which could be from Google Drive. It could be a link to a URL that they've for something they've created, or perhaps a source they've used, or a file that they have on their laptop. Another option they've got is to actually create a Google document, slide, sheet or drawing there and then, which will then attach itself to this piece of work. So that is an option that you've got if you didn't want because of the nature of your assignment, the student had to provide more than just the template document that you sent out to them. So that's a not so brief video on Google Classroom's assignments feature. There's not a great deal to it, it's just that there are some intricacies that you need to be aware of before you start setting assignments on Google Classroom. I hope that was enough. Please do not hesitate to contact me if there's any, if you've got any further questions. That might even warrant me recreating this video. It has just been a quick thrown together video for you guys to get started on Google assignments.